Hi Year 5, I hope you're all well. I've made this video to go along with the IT lesson that we're going to be doing for this week. We're going to carry on looking at spreadsheets and some of the things that spreadsheets can do, how they can be used to do different jobs. You might think some of these jobs are a bit, well, why would I ever need that? But as we go on, I will try and explain some of the things they can do and why and how they might be useful to us as teachers and to you as students in the future. Now, I'm hoping if I set this right, you should just be able to go into your to-dos and click a little link and it should open the To Calculate app. If it doesn't, and you find yourself on the Purple Mash homepage, then you just need to search for the To Calculate, and we can go ahead and launch the app. And what you are going to want to create is a sheet, an empty sheet. So you should be able to see an empty grid like this. And this is where the magic's going to happen. In this box here, we're going to write what we're going to do. And again, all this will start to make sense as we go through it. What we're going to look at today is we're going to look at how we can use a spreadsheet to figure out how many times a specific letter appears in our spreadsheet. And that could be used for all sorts of things. Let's say, for instance, you were writing an article or a piece of writing about the Vikings. Okay, and your teacher might want to look to see within that piece of work how many times you've used the word Viking, how many times you've used the word ship or longbow or sword or shield or blood and guts and that kind of thing. We can use a spreadsheet or some software that utilizes spreadsheets to search out and find how many times certain things appear. So we're going to just write some words in this top cell. So test out hypothesis. I'm hoping that you've all remembered that from your science lessons. Which letter is the most common in the English language? And we're going to have a guess, and we're going to say, is E the most popular letter in the English language? And then we're also going to ask, what other letters do we think might be popular? So once you've written all that text, that's some sample text that our spreadsheet is going to use. We're going to go ahead and we're going to click in these cells just down here, and we're going to put in some common letters, some vowels. So A, E, I, O, and U. First of all, I'm just going to zoom my spreadsheet out a little bit by clicking this little plus icon in the bottom corner, help me see a little bit better, and I can pop U in there. Now we're going to use one of the tools in Purple Mash. So over here on the right side of the screen, I want you to click this little icon here, and that's going to bring up some tools for us to use. And this one, if you can see, if we hover over it, it says this tool counts how many of a variable there are in a spreadsheet. Now variable, when we drag, or should I say, when we click the cell we want it to go in and double click the icon, what it does is it looks in the cell, okay, the box, the cell, which is to the left of it, and in the right of it, it tells us how many times that letter appears in the entire spreadsheet. So in this entire spreadsheet, the letter A appears 8 times. So in all this test writing that we've written in here, the letter A appears 8 times. Now what we can also do is we can just hover over this cell until the icon, until our cursor changes from this arrow to this arrow, And that allows us to just drag it down, so it's just copying it into all of the cells below, or at least that's what it should have done. Okay, it's not, so what we can do is we can just pop into our next cell and double click, our next cell and double click, and we can see that in each of the right hand cells, what it's doing is it's telling us how many times that letter appears. So we can see that in this entire spreadsheet, the letter I is there 9 times. The letter O appears 10 times, the letter U appears 5 times. So we can sort of start to say that we think that E could be the most popular letter in the English alphabet based on the fact that it appears most times in our sample text. Maybe we want to add some more text to that into our spreadsheet to see if we can expand on this anymore. You know, as we say as scientists, and that's what we're doing computer science, or IT, but computer science, we have to test even further, don't we, to see, we add more data in and see if we get different results out. So what I went ahead and did was searched on the internet for a popular nursery rhyme. I'm sure you've all heard of it. It's Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And I'm just going to copy that text. So I'm going to right click and copy that text back into my spreadsheet. And we can see that our figures are updated. And we can see from that, even though we've added some more text in, the letter E, it still appears 32 times. It's still the most popular letter. From there, what we can also do is we can also pop in some other letters. So P, R, T, S, T, S, M. And we can carry on popping in this count icon. It'll tell us what other letters, or how often these other letters appear. It's quite an interesting tool to use. Like I say, if we were asking you to submit a piece of work on, like we said before, the Vikings, and we were specifically looking for certain words, we could use this spreadsheet tool to count how many times your word appeared. So again, I might want to put in there twinkle, and this is telling me the word twinkle appears 3 times in Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. I don't forget, obviously, in my example, one of the twinkles is a capital letter, so it's case sensitive. That means it will look to see if there are any letters that are capital letters, but that's going off the point a little bit. So this is what I want you to do for your IT lesson. I want you to create a spreadsheet that looks like this, and I want you to put in some of your own examples. You can use my example, or you can use your own example, but I want you to generate some data to look at how many times a certain letter or a series of letters appear in a series of text. So that could be some lyrics to your favorite song, maybe it's your favorite poem or a story. Maybe you wanted to write your own story, or maybe you want to write a report about something and pop in, get to look how many times a certain word or amount of letters appear. Then, revisiting some of the work that we did the other week, I want you to create a chart for me. So the last little bit of the lesson is going to be highlighting our data, and it's okay if the these three numbers with the fingers is in there. So what you can do is you can select this area here, you can click the chart button, you can see it's generated that chart for us, and it's telling me how many times these different letters appear. And we can have that as a pie chart, bar graph, or a bar graph that way. Then you can go in, give it a title, etc. And then once you've done, I want you to save it. And I'm hoping, again, if I set all this right, it should find its way to me and I can mark it and give you some feedback on it. Have fun. Feel free to drop me an email anytime if you get stuck or just to say hello. And I hope you're staying safe. Bye bye.